Ladies and gentlemen, hear me today. Life is a journey, and on this journey, you will meet with storms. You will meet with setbacks. You will meet with problems. But let me tell you something, problems are not permanent. They are seasonal. They come and they go. But life is permanent. Life is the gift that God has given you. And as long as you've got breath in your body, as long as you've got strength in your bones, you can face every problem that comes your way. Don't you dare let a temporary problem make you forget the permanence of your purpose. For problems don't define you. They refine you, and when you face them, when you stand up against them, you will discover the power that's been inside of you all along. Life will always bring with it seasons of difficulty, challenges, and obstacles that seem overwhelming, but it is important to understand that problems are never designed to last forever. They may feel heavy in the moment, they may take your peace for a while, and they may cloud your vision with fear and uncertainty, but they are only visitors passing through the corridors of your life. A problem is like a storm that rages fiercely, but no storm has ever lasted forever. The clouds eventually break, the rain eventually stops, and the sun eventually shines again. When we view problems through the lens of time, we begin to see that what looks permanent is only temporary, what feels final is only passing, and what seems unbearable is only momentary. And that understanding shifts the weight of the problem off your shoulders, because it reminds you that what you are facing today will not be the same tomorrow. Life, on the other hand, is permanent. Life is the constant gift that God has placed in your hands. Every sunrise, every heartbeat, and every breath is proof that life has not abandoned you. Life continues even in the midst of challenges, and that permanence is what gives us the courage to endure what feels unbearable. Problems may shake your plans, but they cannot take away your life. Problems may delay your progress, but they cannot steal the essence of who you are. When you anchor yourself in the truth that life is greater than any problem, you begin to walk with a resilience that no obstacle can destroy. You realize that if the problem was permanent, it would have the power to end you, but since you are still here, it means the problem is only passing through while you continue to remain. When people fail to see this truth and they allow temporary pain to convince them of a permanent defeat, they give up because they mistake the storm for the climate and the moment for the future and the test for the testimony. But the reality is this, the permanence of life outweighs the temporariness of problems every single time. It is your perspective that determines whether you will crumble under the weight of the problem or stand strong in the permanence of life. If you choose to see life as the constant, you will understand that problems are interruptions, not definitions. They interrupt your routine, but they cannot define your destiny. They distract you for a while, but they cannot rewrite the story of your life. The permanence of life is the anchor that holds you steady when the storms of problems try to blow you away. This is why no matter how painful, confusing, or overwhelming your problems may seem right now, you must remember that they are not permanent. They will pass, but life will continue. Your strength, your hope, your future, and your purpose are tied to life, not the problems. So when the problem comes, don't give it more power than it deserves. Don't elevate it above life itself. Instead, hold on to the truth that as long as you have life, you have the ability to stand, to recover, to rebuild, and to rise again. Every problem that appears in your path carries within it the potential to shape you into a stronger, wiser, and more capable version of yourself. It may not look like it when you are in the middle of the trial, but every challenge is an invitation to grow. Problems have a way of stretching your mind, pushing your limits, and forcing you to discover abilities you never knew you had. Think about it, true without resistance. Muscles do not grow without pressure, and diamonds are never formed without fire. Gold is never refined. In the same way, life uses problems as the raw material for your growth, chiseling away your weaknesses and sharpening your strengths. When you begin to see problems not as punishments, but as opportunities, and your entire perspective shifts, and what once felt like a burden now becomes a stepping stone toward your destiny. Many people waste valuable energy running from problems, wishing them away, or resenting their presence. But the truth is that avoidance does not build growth, it only delays it. Growth happens when you face the problem head on, when you choose to dig deeper instead of shrinking back, when you decide to ask yourself, what lesson this challenge is trying to teach you? Sometimes a problem is not sent to break you, but to wake you up, to push you out of your comfort zone and to prepare you for a bigger stage in life. What feels like a setback might actually be the very situation that equips you for the future you've been praying for. And when we look back at our lives, the moments of greatest transformation often came from the hardest seasons. Think about the times you discovered strength you didn't know you had, patience you never practiced before, or creativity you never thought possible. Those qualities were pulled out of you by problems, and they were lying dormant until a challenge forced them into the open. Problems act like mirrors, reflecting what is inside you and revealing capacities that comfort alone could never uncover. This is why growth rarely comes wrapped in ease and comfort, but almost always through adversity and discomfort. Even the problems that seem unfair, the ones that come without warning, can become opportunities for growth if you allow them to. You may not be able to control the problem itself, but you can control your response to it. That response, whether it is faith over fear, a perseverance over quitting, or learning over complaining, determines whether the problem breaks you or builds you. A problem handled with the right mindset becomes a classroom, teaching you lessons that no book, no mentor, no lecture could ever provide. And the wisdom gained through problems is not easily forgotten. It stays with you, shaping your decisions, guiding your steps, and preparing you for the road ahead. Every opportunity for growth hidden inside a problem carries with it seeds of resilience, confidence, and maturity. Once you survive one storm, you walk into the next with a quiet assurance that you can handle it because you've handled something like it before. Growth builds a track record of victories, and those victories remind you that problems, and no matter how fierce, are not the end of your story, but the training ground for your strength. So when you stand in front of your next challenge, instead of asking, oh, why me? You begin to ask, What can I learn? How can this shape me? How will this prepare me for what's next? That simple change of perspective turns the problem into a powerful opportunity for growth. There are moments in life when the storms of problems feel so strong that they convince you that they will last forever. The clouds grow dark and the winds rage and fear begins to whisper that this is the end. But it is critical to remind yourself that storms are not climates. They are passing conditions. They do not define the entire atmosphere of your life. They only occupy a moment. Too often, the people confuse what is temporary with what is permanent, and in doing so, they surrender their hope to something that was never meant to last. A storm may shake you, it may disrupt your journey, but it cannot determine your destination. The very fact that it is a storm means it will run its course, and once it does, peace will return. When you hold on to this truth, you stop giving storms the power to dictate your destiny. The danger of forgetting that storms are temporary is that you begin to build your identity around your problems. You start saying, this is who I am, instead of this is what I am going through. A storm is an experience, not an identity. If you define yourself by the storms of life, you rob yourself of the hope that carries you forward. What you are going through may feel consuming, but it is not who you are. You are bigger than your battles, stronger than your struggles, and greater than your grief. The storm is a moment in your story, but it is not the whole story. The key is to refuse to let a temporary situation convince you of a permanent defeat. When you study nature, you see the pattern clearly. No matter how fierce the thunder, how heavy the rain, or how strong the winds, the storm always passes. The sun always breaks through and the sky clears again. That same rhythm exists in life. No problem has lasted forever. No pain has stayed unchanged, and no obstacle has remained unmovable. With time, every storm subsides, and in its aftermath, life goes on. If you can embrace this truth, you find the courage to endure, the patience to wait it out, and the strength to keep standing when everything around you tries to push you down. There are countless people who gave up in the middle of their storm, not realizing that the breakthrough was just around the corner. They let temporary winds convince them their destiny was destroyed, but the reality is that the storm was only meant to test their resolve and not erase their future. If you can resist the temptation to quit, if you can hold on when everything in you says to let go, you will discover that storms pass and leave behind a stronger, wiser, more resilient version of yourself. Every storm carries within it the potential for transformation, but only if you endure until it passes. It is also important to understand that storms are not evidence of failure or punishment. Sometimes storms come to redirect you, to push you toward paths you never would have taken if everything remained calm. They can strip away what you no longer need, clear the ground for something new, and prepare you for seasons you could not have entered without being shaken. What feels destructive in the moment can actually be constructive in the long run. The storm is not final, it is a process, and once it passes, you will see why you had to go through it. When you remember that storms are temporary, you begin to see them differently. Instead of letting fear dominate your thoughts, you start looking for what lies beyond the storm. Instead of surrendering to despair, you anchor yourself in hope. You start declaring to yourself, this will not last. This is not forever. My destiny is bigger than my difficulty. That declaration is what gives you the strength to keep moving forward, and knowing that no matter how dark the night, morning always comes, and no matter how strong the storm, peace always returns. When a problem shows up in your life, the natural instinct is to run from it, hide from it, or hope it disappears on its own. Yet every time you turn away from a problem, you also turn away from the opportunity to grow stronger. Problems are not just barriers, and they are weights meant to be lifted. And with every lift, your resilience increases. Facing problems builds the kind of inner strength that cannot be bought, borrowed, or handed down. It is forged only in the fires of adversity. The very act of confronting what scares you, what challenges you, and what tries to break you makes you more durable, more prepared, and more capable of handling whatever comes next. Resilience is not learned in calm waters. It is built in the storm. It is the refusal to let difficulty have the last word. Every time you face a problem, you are training yourself, and you are training your mind to think differently, training your heart to endure, and training your spirit to hope against the odds. Avoidance breeds weakness, but confrontation breeds resilience. The problem may not disappear immediately, but the moment you decide to stand up to it, instead of shrinking back, something inside you shifts. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming a master of response. That shift is the seed of resilience. It is not about the size of the problem, but about the decision to face it with courage. Over time, those decisions add up, and you find yourself able to carry burdens that once would have crushed you. The truth is, resilience is not built in comfort. Comfort zones do not produce warriors. It is the hardship that carves out strength. The trial that produces patience, the problem that generates perseverance. Each challenge you confront stretches your capacity, showing you that you can handle more than you thought. Problems that once terrified you lose their power because you have grown bigger than them. When you walk through fire and come out on the other side, flames no longer scare you in the same way. This is the gift of facing problems. It builds a record of victories that strengthens your confidence and prepares you for even greater battles ahead. Some people look at resilient individuals and think that they were born that way, but resilience is not inherited. It is developed. It is earned through countless moments of choosing not to quit. It is born in tears, sweat, and struggles. Every time you endure, every time you keep going despite the weight on your shoulders, you add another layer of strength to your character. That strength becomes a shield, and that shield allows you to step into life's uncertainties with courage. Resilience means you bend, but you don't break. You may stumble, but you don't stay down. You may cry, but you don't surrender. Problems also give you perspective. Facing them teaches you what truly matters and what does not. Small inconveniences no longer shake you because you had stared down storms and survived. You become less reactive and more steady, less panic and more focused. This calm strength is one of the greatest rewards of resilience. It allows you to not only survive your own challenges, but also inspire others to face theirs, and people begin to look at your life as proof that resilience is possible, that courage can be chosen, and that strength can be developed. The beauty of resilience is that it compounds over time. Every problem you face today prepares you for a greater one tomorrow. It is like building muscle. Each repetition adds to your power. At first, the weight feels unbearable, but soon you realize you could lift with ease, and then you are ready for more. Problems will continue to come, but instead of fearing them, you begin to see them as opportunities to grow stronger. With each one, your resilience deepens, your confidence increases, and your capacity expands. In the end, you realize that the problem was never just about the problem itself. It was about building the strength within you to rise, to endure, and to overcome again and again. That your purpose is far greater than any problem you will ever face. Problems may appear like mountains, towering high and blocking your path, but they are never bigger than the reason you were created. Purpose is the compass of your life, the deep sense of direction that keeps you moving even when the road feels rough. A problem may delay your steps, but it cannot cancel your purpose. It may shake your confidence, but it cannot erase what was written over your life from the beginning. When you recognize that your purpose is greater than your problems, you stop living in fear of challenges and start walking with the assurance that nothing can stop you from reaching what you were born to accomplish. Problems often try to disguise themselves as permanent barriers, but they are really temporary tests meant to refine you for your purpose. Your purpose is eternal, anchored in something deeper than circumstances, while problems are fleeting, tied only to the moment. When you focus on the problem, it grows bigger in your mind and weighs you down. But when you focus on your purpose, you rise above the problem because you see beyond it. A soldier on a mission does not stop for every distraction along the way. They stay focused on the objective. In the same way, purpose gives you vision that problems cannot steal. Sometimes problems come as reminders that you are moving in the direction of your purpose. The presence of resistance is often evidence of progress. Nobody bothers to fight something that isn't going anywhere. If you face opposition, it may be because you are on the right path, pressing into the very thing you were destined to achieve. Instead of seeing problems as signs of failure, start viewing them as signs that your purpose is too important to be left unchallenged. When you remember that your purpose is greater, you treat the problem as a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. The truth is, purpose gives pain meaning. Without purpose, problems feel unbearable, but with purpose, problems become part of the story. They are woven into the fabric of your journey, shaping your character, refining your vision, and preparing you for the greater stages of life. Every great achievement in history was accomplished by someone who faced enormous problems but refused to let them overshadow their purpose. What separated them from those who gave up was not the absence of problems, but the clarity of purpose. They knew why they existed, and that why gave them strength to endure anyhow. Think about the times in your life when you almost quit. What pulled you back to your feet? It was the quiet reminder of purpose, the inner voice that said, not done yet, Purpose whispers louder than the problem if you allow yourself to listen. It reminds you that the story of your life is still being written, and no single problem has the power to write the final chapter. But problems may add twists to the plot, but purpose ensures that the ending will align with your destiny. This is why you cannot afford to live problem-focused. If you make your life about avoiding problems, you will lie small, cautious, and afraid. But if you make your life about pursuing purpose, you will find the courage to face any obstacle head on. Purpose-driven people do not crumble when problems appear. They rise because they know the problem is temporary, but purpose is forever. That knowledge fuels perseverance, ignites hope, and strengthens resolve. It pushes you to get back up after every setback and to keep moving when everything inside you wants to quit. At the end of the day, problems may test you, but purpose will carry you. Problems may slow you, but purpose will drive you forward. Problems may shout, but purpose speaks louder. The power of purpose is that it not only lifts you beyond your problems, but also gives those problems meaning. They are not random disruptions. They are part of the refining fire that shapes you into who you need to be in order to fulfill your destiny. Once you understand this, problems lose their power to intimidate you because you know that what is inside of you is far greater than what stands against you. Your purpose is greater, stronger, and more permanent than any problem. And as long as you hold on to it, no challenge can stop you from becoming everything you were created to be.